because right from the start, my involvement on the movie, we had pictures drawn by Jim, of which today you get computer-generated images done on a computer, but this is hand-drawn by Jim, of the power loader fighting the alien queen.
Jim was, because he's a talented designer and artist, he designed the power loader, and he would start with I remember, an arm, and he'd draw that and give this to John Richardson, who was the physical effects supervisor, and John was going to build the full-size one.
The power loader was, I think, certainly our most challenging thing on the movie. It was a tremendously difficult thing to conceptually, work out, design and build in, I think we did it in 3 months. We decided to build a stuntman inside it to help control some of the functions of it and to help it move, so that when Sigourney was in it, she was actually standing with her back right up against the stuntman, so that his movements would be transferred to her or vice versa. To help him stand in that situation, we had 2 different methods of supporting him. One was with wires from the sort of shoulder area, which we hid with radio aerials, or the other method was with a pole arm through the back, which was built on or it was attached to a specially built crane that was counterweighted, so that we could take all the weight, but he still had enough control over it because of the counterweight mechanism. Jim is a very hands-on director, and what makes it a little bit difficult for, I think, any effects man is Jim knows as much about it as we do. The problems tended to come when we started to actually build things, and particularly with the power loader. I mean, we'd be trying to cut as many corners as we can just to get it ready in time. But Jim would suddenly get locked in on the shape of the screw head in the back corner of the heel of the boot, we were just screaming to get the thing ready. So from that point of view, I think we had some interesting times. I mean, certainly for a month or so. I seem to remember once or twice on a Friday night, a bottle of champagne would turn up in the workshop with a little note from Jim saying, "Building power loaders is thirsty work, have one on me," and it sort of smoothed everything out until we started again Monday. But they were good times.
Do you have to be pretty careful about security? I mean, closed set and things.
What closed set? I don't see a closed set. You can't come in here. Back. There's a closed set.
Everyone's a comedian.
Sorry, I can't have it. I'm behind the camera all the time. I don't get to have any fun. Cut. Let's try it again. When you reach for the control, make the whole action a little slower, like you're sort of settling into it. You're sort of like that. See what I mean? Yeah, let's pull back. Okay, stop there. Peter, why did you move that back? No. Put it back in. I didn't ask for that to be moved. Roll camera. You ready, David?
Okay, yeah. Speed.
And action, Nigel.
It always stuck in my mind, and it still does today, the sequence when we actually shot it on stage at Pinewood of the power loader we built, and seeing the alien queen that Stan Winston had built fighting, and it was just what Jim had drawn some 18 months, maybe 2 years previously.
Well, we had some interesting rehearsals for that, where the whole thing would tip over, because there was a big, strong guy named John who was in the, whatever that thing was behind me. And it was John who, I think, made the legs move and the arms move. And we had to have these rehearsals during lunch where we would try to go faster and faster. And we almost fell right on our faces a couple of times there. Luckily, we didn't really have to do that in the movie, but it was interesting to rehearse it. I loved that. I loved that. You know, and that's, I think, one of the favorite moments people have is that battle. Get away from her, you bitch.
Get away from her, you bitch!
There was one instance where we, unbeknownst to anyone, strapped a balloon to Sigourney's saddle connected to an air pipe. So whenever she sat on the saddle, we could pump the balloon up, and she was wondering what the hell John was doing behind her with this movement going on from the saddle.
Yeah. Well, I think, I'm not sure who, I guess it was John, the guy in back, who blew up this balloon behind me in a certain area while we were shooting one of the big scenes. And I remember going, I thought, what's happening back there?
She thought he was getting a boner all the time. She go, John, what are you doing, John? Because she couldn't move because she's strapped in. And he didn't know because he was nowhere to be seen because he was behind all this black. So as soon as she sat on it, John, what the fuck's going on? So.
I think he told me, but it was very funny because it lasted quite a long time, a couple of hours. I was thinking, well, this is interesting.
You know, one of the things I've always tried to do in my career is do things in camera as much as possible, and I think if you can do it whenever possible, you know, it's not always possible and it's not always right, but if it is right, then do it that way because it'll certainly look better at the end of the day. And you know, the whole thing came together and worked very pleasingly well, I seem to remember.